Those are wrongful death claims. And wrongful death claims, there's their own set of rules. Only one person has the right to assert those claims typically, and that is the personal representative of the estate. So typically who the court appoints as the executor or administrator of the estate. They would be able to pursue the wrongful death claim. The wrongful death claim, the parts that are recoverable are your pain and suffering from the moment of onset of injury until death, the loss of wages. So if a person was working, you have to get an economist, a vocational economist, typically to value how much money they would have made, how much Social Security income they would have received had they lived to their normal life expectancy. And you value those future wage claims. You have to value the medical expenses, funeral expenses, and those expenses are all part of a wrongful death claim. The biggest part typically is pain and suffering, but Kentucky does have a rule that a plaintiff has to prove actual pain and suffering. You can't assume that a person suffered. If I walk up behind you and you're unaware of my presence and I shoot you in the back of the head and the doctors say she died instantly, well, you couldn't recover under Kentucky law. Your estate couldn't recover pain and suffering because you didn't have pain and suffering. You'd be limited to other elements of damage, your lost wages. If it's intentional, you can get what's called punitive damages, which mean damages that are intended to punish the wrongdoer. But the conduct in order to recover punitive damages has to be more than mere negligence, has to be reckless, grossly negligent, or intentional. And the other claim that arises in the event of a wrongful death is what's called loss of consortium. And Kentucky's only adopted these within the last 20 years, which means that your spouse can recover for their loss. Consortium is a fancy word for love and affection. A person can recover for the loss of their spouse's love and affection. You, through your negligent act, deprived me of my loving relationship. You have to pay me for that. That's a loss that should be compensated. It's a tough one to figure out what that's worth. Jury's just going to hear the facts and award you if they're mad enough and they feel like it's a special relationship. Won't be any. There's not enough money they can award. There's also some awards I've seen in other cases where they've been very small consortium awards. A child also has a consortium award, but oddly in Kentucky, only until they're 18. So if you have two children, one is a 16-year-old, one's a 19-year-old, and their father is killed in a horrific accident, the 16-year-old would be entitled to what's called a loss of consortium claim. They lost their father while a minor. The 19-year-old would not. That's unfair. It makes no sense. But it is the rule.